Welcome, everybody, and thanks to all of you for attending this new event in the CoolTalks by ClearPeaks series. My name is Gianluca Nacci. I am the General Manager of the Middle Eastern branch of ClearPeaks. I will spend the next 5 minutes introducing the webinar agenda, our company and capabilities, to then introduce the topic of the webinar. With me is my colleague Nathanael Hidalgo, head of the web and mobile practice in ClearPeaks, who will support me during this webinar and participate to the Q&A panel at the end of the presentation. On this regard, we have disabled the speech function because of the broad audience to this webinar. So we recommend you to ask your question using the Q&A function you see in the Zoom control panel at the bottom of this screen. We are reserving a bit of time for answering your questions at the end of the webinar, and whatever unanswered question remains, it will be dealt with after the webinar via mail. Please do not hesitate to, if you like it, to share these sessions within your network in LinkedIn or in your organization. The purpose of this webinar is to demonstrate some simple but effective ways to extend Power BI capabilities to make the most for your users. And in this case, by using machine learning in the context of chatbots and visualizations for predictive analytics directly from within embedded Power BI reports. During this webinar, the agenda, as you can see here on the screen, consists of introducing our company and services. We will then demo a chatbot proof of concept to enable interaction with existing Power BI dashboards and access data sets for new visualizations. Then we will demo a custom component that we have developed to provide all-in-one machine learning modeling and accuracy testing, as well as visualization of complex models. Finally, we will describe our key findings and conclusions, and hopefully have time for a Q&A panel, as I mentioned earlier, with our technical team. ClearPeaks is an end-to-end business analytics consultancy firm operating worldwide for the last 20 years, with a broad customer and projects portfolio and success stories across more than 20 industries. Our headquarters is in Barcelona, in Spain, and we also have offices in Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the Arab Emirates. Our services span from business intelligence to big data and advanced analytics, complemented by web and mobile capabilities for tailored solutions. We invest in the leading and most state-of-the-art technologies and methodologies to help our customers make the most of their data, whatever the data are and wherever the data are. To help our customers achieving their business goals, we provide a full end-to-end portfolio of services, from the inception of the data journey by estimating company readiness and helping formulating a strategy, to determining program success factors and business requirements, to then implementing and supporting BI, big data, and machine learning artificial intelligence project under a solid data governance and management layer. The outcome of our work spans from executive and management-oriented analytics to real-time operational and tactical data discovery reporting and enablement, to web and mobile applications made just for you. For this webinar, however, we will concentrate on both data discovery and advanced analytics capabilities. Our first topic in this webinar is how to use Power BI customization features to create and enable chatbots to interact with existing reports and create new insights. What is the business case behind this topic, you will ask? Straight out of the box, Power BI offers you different ways to interact with your reports. Drill down into hierarchies, one-click navigation to other reports and dashboards, and filtering data capabilities using sliders, radio, multiple selection buttons, with filter ranges spanning from the single report to the entire dashboard. It will also allow you to create your own reports without coding by accessing a data set and basically dragging and dropping columns into a workspace and basically materializing the graphs that you're looking for. In the Microsoft stack also, there is a natural language processing API called the Q&A maker that, as the word suggests, allows you to extract question-answer pairs from any content, structured or semi-structured, and then build a knowledge base out of it. Once this is trained, this knowledge base provides the best answer to the questions inputted by the user by a command line, or like in the demo that we will show you, direct speech-to-text input. However, such powerful capabilities have their limitations. For top management users, or in general users who don't have the luxury of time to explore and be familiar with all aspects of Power BI, this can actually be a quite daunting experience. Also, Q&A Maker does not always understand customer questions, and most important, and the key reason why we have developed this component, Q&A does not control already developed reports. This is particularly limiting for companies who have developed already a broad corporate reporting portfolio and wants to leverage ML bots capabilities. So what have we done? We basically developed a custom chatbot component to enable users to interact with the Power BI dashboards, reports, and dataset. And this custom component features the capability of inputting commands via voice, filtering functionality over the Power BI reports, and an integrated Power BI Q&A, allowing us to generate new visualizations on the fly. We can extend actually our chatbot to interact with the reports, enabling other functionalities than drill down, than filtering, sorry, like navigation, drill down, pretty much whatever can be done by physically clicking around in your Power BI report. But for the sake of this demo, we have concentrated our efforts on the filtering functionality. And for the purpose of showing this, we are visualizing the filters themselves on the right side of the demo report to show you how the actions work. So let us switch to the demo then. Some important caveats before starting this demo, as a matter of fact. Because of unforeseen circumstances, I am running this demo locally on my laptop, notoriously not very powerful. So unfortunately, the chatbot answers could be fairly slow. Please do not consider this as indicative of the performance once this kind of solution is run on production servers. So, as you can see here, the starting point is a web app that we have developed to embed the chatbot and the Power BI report that it acts upon. For the purpose of our demo, basically what we are going to basically do here, we are going to show a report that, by clicking here, I can show you, involve regional sales analytics for a manufacturing company. And the purpose of our investigation is to obtain insight into the patterns and trends of sales and average prices by demographic and product category over a period of 3 calendar years. All of this is visible on the right side, as you can see. Okay, so going straight to the point, what we can see here is a massive spike in sales in September. And the purpose of my investigation is to understand what product affected it. So let's take into account the quantity that you see here on the left, 52K, and let's dive into it. So our system allows me now, instead of clicking around, just to type what I want to filter on in this example, for example, on a specific product, and basically allow me to interact directly with the pre-canned reports that I am working with. So as I can see here, clearly the glider product line does not have much impact on my sales, and definitely is not the reason for the spike. Only 5K in terms of quantity, and in September actually it experienced a dip in the sales. So now let's talk. Remove glider.
Got it.
Now we are back to our original stance. Let's have a look at another category of products. Filter trainer.
Here you are.
Please notice now, first and foremost, how I have uttered a different phrase than before. This is one of the best features of LUIS, which is the language understanding module that Microsoft provides, and it's currently available on Azure. It interfaces with Q&A. So you can train it, basically, to understand many different ways of expressing a request that is interpreted by the model and returned as an action for the Power BI dashboard. Now we see that it's actually trainer, my key product line, counting for more than half of my sales, as I can see from the quantity, and it is the key reason for the spike in sales. Remove all filters.
Here you are.
This is another example of possible resets done simply by speaking into the chatbot instead of using reset buttons or acting individually on each filter. Now, remember the limitation list that I mentioned before. Can I actually now use Q&A and Power BI to actually generate new insight beyond the report that has been already developed? Of course we can. In this case, let's use the current dataset that I am on and check, for example, what are the average sales for the training line over time. So I can, as I mentioned, type directly into the chatbot, for example, what are average sales by year and product. So now Q&A has received the question, understands that it cannot be covered by the current report, and has automatically generated an answer using the best recommended view, in this case, an horizontal bar graph. And it's displaying the metric and the dimensions that I have provided. However, as you can see, this report is not very useful, as it's difficult to distinguish between the product categories. However, I know that trainer is what I'm really interested in. So let's have a look at that. And here we are. Now, this is better. I have a clearer understanding, but as you can see here, the report is sorted by average sales, while what I want is to see the progression throughout the years. So as you can see, I can actually filter and change views based simply on as simple or as complex queries that I can input directly into the chatbot command line. Q&A interprets the question, and Power BI displays what is the recommended view for that. So I can see here across the different years how every single sub-product line belonging to the trainer product line behaved throughout the years. I can see that the trainer line subcategories have consistently improved over the years, and that is my flagship product line. Now, okay, so what if I wanted now to revert back to my corporate report? All I have to do is simply go to report.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
And here we go. This is an example of navigation, in this case, that is triggered by a Q&A input. As mentioned, this can be a way to go beyond only filtering. So if you have people able to transform your interaction vision in technical requirements, honestly, sky's the limit. I will now pass the baton to Nathanael Hidalgo, our web and mobile practice team lead, who will now show you how easy it is to train Luis to enhance your chatbot with new utterances and capabilities.
Okay, thank you, Gianluca. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, hello everybody, and thank you for joining this webinar. I am Nathanael Hidalgo, as Gianluca said, and I'm going to show you how can we train the model so it reacts for a specific request or sentence for the capabilities that our application has. It's really easy, and in this example, I will show you how are we using the sentences for filtering. Like Gianluca explained before, we can say here, select trainer, for example, and it's filtering by trainer, but maybe we want to say another sentence or another word, like, for example, pick Warbird. Okay, the chatbot now doesn't understand me because it's not trained for that. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to train the model to get the sentence that I'm saying. So we have to go to Luis, to our language understanding model. And yes, here we have the possibilities that we have in our application. And for this example, we are using the filtering one. So let's go to filter. And here we have all the sentences that we are using in our application to filter by, select, and others. So just add another one, like pick telephone, for example, pick paper, pick keyboard, and say to Luis that this is the value. So now I only have to train it. Now the model is being trained. And then publish the application. So let's publish the application. And that's all. In a couple of minutes, we can train our model to react to a new sentence that we want. So for the capabilities that we have in our application. So in this case, for filtering, we have added a new word, pick something, and we can go to the chatbot again. As you saw before, it wasn't recognizing the pick something, but now if I say pick trainer, it's understanding me. If I remove completely the pick again, in 1 minute again, let's delete it and train it again. Okay, train completed and publish. Okay, let's publish. Now it won't understand me again. So pick Warbird. Yes, as you can see, in just 1 minute, I trained the model to understand the word pick, to select something in in the report, and then I removed completely the word and he doesn't understand me again. So this is the way to train the model. As you can see, in 1 minute, we can train a model to understand ourselves. And yes, that's all.
Thank you, Nathanael. Much appreciated. I am going to take the screen. Very good. So now I am going to switch back to our presentation. And for those of you in the audience who are more technically inclined, this is an overview of what is under the hood of our chatbot component. There are three main components: a web app containing the chat form, the Power BI report embedded using the related SDK, an ancillary server containing the bot framework that we have used to build the bot, and a direct line interfacing Luis and the web form, and Luis itself, which is hosted in the Azure cloud. Here is the full list of the tech applications that we have utilized to deliver this POC. Angular 9 and Node.js have been used to create the front end and the backend services. The Power BI embedded SDK to embed the report itself. Power BI REST API has been used to list the available reports. The Azure Cognitive Services, Luis and speech to text for the natural language processing. Microsoft bot framework, as the word says, has been used to build the bot itself. And we are managing credentials and authentication using the Azure Active Directory. Conclusions and takeaways for the chatbot will be discussed at the end of this presentation. But now let's jump into the next demo. Our ClearPeaks team managed to embed into an all-in-one Power BI custom component a machine learning model without having to interface to any third-party components. So in this case, a custom visual that allows business users, or in general, users without deep data science modeling knowledge, to train, visualize, and embed predictions on data. In our case, in the example that I will show you, it's real estate sales prices. All of this uniquely using Power BI, and all into Power BI itself. To provide context, our simulation focuses on forecasting sales prices of houses for a real estate agency in a city called Ames in Iowa. Our analyst wants to know what are the key variables that affect such metric, and with what accuracy can a model, in our case the linear regression, predict it. The key analytics components, as you can understand, are access to a house pricing dataset, which is basically being used as our source, a machine learning model, and a visualization tool, in our case, Power BI. Using these components, we want to make and enable our users to figure out what are the features, axes, and series that make most sense for the model. I would like to put particular emphasis on the terms of business users and complex model, because that's the item that we want to address, the gap that we actually want to cover. Why is that? See, predictive models are nothing new by now. Data sets can be analyzed, and using appropriate models, forecasts and predictions can be plotted and shown for analysts to take their insights from. In the case we are showing here, a linear regression model can be easily shown in Excel or other tools when the features and variables are limited in number. Multiple regressions, like what you see on the right side, might actually be a bit trickier. Now, let's have a look at this scatter plot. This is quite intuitive. You know, it shows the data across the graph with the mean value, which is the horizontal line that you can see, and the linear regression average as the black dotted line across the two axes. The two axes are the area in square meter and the house sale price. So they are the independent and the dependent variables in this case. So far, so good. I want to know what the sale price is, so I draw a vertical line in correspondence of the desired area, and then I have my price. Now, things start being a bit more complicated when we add more features, like, for example, kitchen quality, or multiple values of these features. In this case, if I have 4 categories, excellent, fair, good, and average, in this case, I have now 4 linear regressions, one for each value by that series. So I can still manage to obtain my values, but it's already more difficult to visualize. Adding even more features or simply using series with more values, like in this case, Ames, Iowa's neighborhood, there are 24 neighborhoods in Ames. Now the report is simply unusable. So now here we have 24 neighborhoods. Imagine that now I want to bring in also the kitchen quality categories. In that case, I have 96 linear regression to deal with. So it's very hard to discern any useful data of it. So that is our problem. How can I actually make this data more useful, more visible, and get more insight out of it without having to compromise on my ability to define and select the features and the axis and the series that I want to? Okay. Our answer is a custom component that allows you, by using sliders and radio buttons, to pinpoint a value in the prediction. This is exactly the same data and the same case as the previous graphs, but shown differently. All 24 means, one per each neighborhood, are shown in this graph. The model is going to be trained upon launch of the visualization, and the result is shown immediately below. So as you can see, how anybody, in this case, business users, analysts, citizen data scientists, where now the word kind of makes sense, can and will obtain proper insight now. Let's switch to the demo, and let me show you how it's going to work. So what I have here is my component that we have developed in Power BI. This component embeds automatically a linear regression model with continuous and discrete features. In this first tab, we only have the house and plot areas in square meters as our independent variable and continuous variable. Let me show you, for example, that upon choice of a specific size, that is my continuous variable, I automatically get a prediction of the sales price. Okay. So by moving the slider and choosing an area, basically what I'm doing, I am moving my vertical line in the scatter plot graph that I showed earlier, and I'm pinpointing a specific prediction of the house sale price for that chosen area. But again, let's start complicating things. What if I add other features? So let's have a look. As you can see, I'm training the model, and it's done. So accuracy of 55% by adding to my already defined variables, kitchen quality as another feature. Okay. As you can see, we now have two features, the area and the kitchen quality. Okay. The 4 linear regression average values that I had before in my scatter plot graph are now available simply by selecting a specific quality bin. And as you can see, the prediction changes accordingly. But what if I add even more features? Remember that our key issue was the selection of larger series values. In our case, the 24 neighborhoods that are in Ames, Iowa. Let's add it as a series. As you can see now, the training is happening, 66%, and I can have my predictions by neighborhood and kitchen quality without issue. Let's select an area, and let's select a kitchen quality. As you can see here, now I can basically predict comfortably the house price on a specific selection of the size of the kitchen quality, visualize neighborhood by neighborhood. And not actually the great insight that I'm getting out of here in how it performs against the mean of it. Okay, but now, why don't we go even further than this? We are only playing at the end of the day with 4 variables among features, axes, and series. But I have an entire data set to investigate with. So can I change the features? Can I retrain automatically the model? Of course, I can do that. So what is under the hood of all of this? How can I actually make and change and operate on the data set, getting more insight from my custom component? Let's see what is under the hood by editing the report that I have. As you can see here, what I have is an all-in-one custom component. All you have to do is simply import it, and it will appear here to be used in any of your dashboards and reports. So we have 4 key areas that we can work with: the metric to predict, the features, continuous and discrete, and the axis, single or multiple. So as you can see here, I now have a series of, in this case, of discrete features that can be, for example, as it was before, the kitchen quality. See, automatically trained. And as an axis, I used to have the neighborhood. There we go. So I can select any value and the prediction will happen. So I can, as you can see, the training is done in correspondence of any kind of selection of features and axes and metrics to predict. Let's see, for example, if I decide to swap as a discrete features the kitchen quality with the heating quality. As you can see, the model is now trained on a completely different selection of features. I can also add more slicing and dicing, for example, bringing again the neighborhood as I have done, or switching it for the area shape, like for example, flatness that I have here. As you can see, the model is automatically trained every time. I can now save eventually my visualization once I have the perfect combination that I want to use it, and embed it in any report as needed, any report or any dashboard that I want to use in the future, or I can also share this with my colleagues and management. So the architecture and the technology that we have adopted to develop the custom component uses industry standard features and libraries. We have used the Power BI API to develop the component using its TypeScript framework. As you can see, we have the typical 3 methods: constructor, update, destroy. And in the update, we have embedded TensorFlow code for the linear regression model. For those of you who want to get deeper into it, that is a model that is based on a single layer and neuron. And we have used eCharts for the visualization. The model that we have used to encapsulate is trained on the classic way. So continuous features are normalized, and discrete ones go through one-hot encoding. The vectors are then concatenated, and the data is split between training data and test data, respectively providing the training for the model and the evaluation. So what should we conclude out of the 2 demos that we provided? Let's recap what we've shown so far. So we gave a glimpse into how chatbots can be developed and deployed to enhance the user experience over Power BI reports and dashboards, particularly for top management and executive audience who don't want to fiddle around with drop-down boxes and radio buttons to filter and analyze data. Trust me when I say that experience from our perspective proves that C-level audience loses interest in reporting if the appropriate information is not displayed within a maximum of 2 clicks. That says something. Also, by using Q&A Maker to generate new visuals, we showed how a chatbot can help gather insight into data going beyond existing reports and dashboards. With the second demo, our custom component demonstrated how to exploit Power BI customization capabilities to embed a machine learning model into an all-in-one component without need for using any third-party components. It's all in the component. Download, import, and go. With this component, business users can make sense of complex data without coding variables. The model is immediately trained. Outcomes are visualized in an intelligible way for users to play with. All of it has been achieved only with the Microsoft stack. We are not using anything else. If you have a corporate license, it is very likely that everything that we have shown is available to you at no additional license cost. Summarizing and concluding, we would like to highlight that the Microsoft BI stack comprises features that are often overlooked, that notwithstanding this can increase the overall user experience. Chatbots, on their side, are misunderstood and can go way beyond the gimmicky usage that is often paraded in websites that you can see on the internet. If properly used and aimed at the proper audience and properly trained, they can be an effective driver to increase user adoption. Power BI customization, on their side, allow the skilled developer to embed full-fledged machine learning models for predictive analytics without having to lean on Azure or third-party components, and getting the average user closer to the world of data science simply by allowing them to play with the model, change the features, change the axis, change the series, and train in a simple and effective way. The demos that we have shown you are proof of concept of very powerful analytics. Developing them, which is what our research and development team has done, is simple if you know the capabilities of the tool and the best practices and the experience that it requires in modeling. As you can see, if you decide to partner with the right experts, you can uncover so much of the hidden capabilities of Power BI. And we hope that this webinar gave you useful insight and the ideas to try it yourself, or if you want, with our consultants. I would just like to spend a few seconds about what's coming next in our CoolTalks series. We have a What's New in 9 webinar planned for the 17th of March, supercharging your Power BI experience, i.e. another cool talk about how to take your Power BI to the next level on the 21st of April, and then deep dive into a advanced analytics use case like social listening and how to boost your marketing capabilities with that on the 5th of May. We will now start our Q&A, and I am joined here by Nathanael Hidalgo, and basically I would ask you to kindly insert your questions using the Q&A button in the Zoom control panel below, and we will now address them live. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, any questions that we cannot tackle during this webinar will be addressed privately, and we will send you the answers via mail during the course of the next couple of days. And with that, I would now open the board.